everybody should know, Karnisaur loves some Castlevania. I mean, Super Castlevania is awesome. Symphony of the Night, everybody knows. Rondo of Blood, all great games. I don't think I even gotta say that. But being a kid who actually grew up on the Genesis initially, there's been a certain Castlevania I don't feel got enough attention. So this Halloween, I'm hoping to spook all your guts out with Castlevania Bloodlines. Now, I don't know how many of the viewers have actually played this one, but unlike a lot of Castlevanias, you actually get to select your character right off the bat. You got John Morris, the Belmont stand-in for this game, but then you got my boy Eric. Eric, my boy. Alright. I mean, really, none of this should look unfamiliar to Castlevania players. You got the world map, you got awesome music, you gotta break stuff, you got the floating skull, you got a similar weapon power-up system you see in most of the early games. But in this one, instead of collecting hearts, you collect gems. Probably has something to do with Dracula, I don't know. God, look at the bloody corpse. I love the visuals in this game. Alright, our boy Eric, he's got a spear, not the vampire killer. Probably wondering why. Well, don't be stupid, I'm about to show you. Yeah, and you thought Super Castlevania let you do whip dippies. Yeah, he's got upward strikes, and after jump you can do downward strike, just like Super Castlevania. He's also got the diagonal strikes, which Morris can only do mid-air. Yeah! Probably guessed by now, but when you use your sub-weapon, it uses up some gems. You got a bunch of return enemies. Oh, and don't forget, as always, you got some wall items. In this one, we got the wall book. This thing can either give you a bunch of gems, or the power-up that I never fucking get. Alright, anyway. You can be an asshole, pulling knuckles, and skip part of the level just by flying up there as Eric, but I'm not gonna be an asshole. So, let's check out down below. You know, back on visuals, I love the sprite work and designs of this game. I mean, look at that's gotta be the coolest looking merman in any Castlevania. Some Geiger looking shit. Huge, spits acid, backwards legs. I think they even got horns? God dang. And to think, you could skip that shit. Alright, well, another cool feature I like in this game is sub-weapons actually have alt fire. They cost up more gems than usual, but a lot of them do pretty cool things. Now, that's not to say the normal fire doesn't have its uses. Now, I don't know what you want to call that thing, if it's a werewolf or what, but it is looking spooky. They threw in this whole mechanic where it shatters the glass by howling. You know, breathes fire. You know, all werewolves do that kind of shit, right? My main man Eric ain't about to give a fuck. Now that this rotten asshole will just stop howling for a second. God damn it. I don't even know why they need this many windows. I think I'll take this time to say Axe is one of my favorite Castlevania sub-weapons of all time. And that's part of why. Damn, look at that. The artist must have really been having some fun with this. Skipping around a bit, you have level 2. Water Ruins, pretty cool theme. Also one of my favorite tunes of the game, I think. Oh yeah, and if this level does not instantly remind you of that one level from Rocket Knight Adventures, you got another game on your backlog. Honestly, this game isn't really out of the ordinary as far as Castlevanias go, but I do think it's a solid game that does what it does do pretty well. It's definitely not the Metroidvania quite a few people have become accustomed to, but I think it represents the classic games pretty good. I admit the difficulty's pretty high, and by default you don't start with enough lives to really get through the game without learning it like the back of your hand. But this is Castlevania, trial and error comes with the territory. And don't be giving me any of that artificial difficulty crap. Games like this would teach you the value of a single life, or continue, or whatever. Really though, screw holy water. I will freely admit that this part of the game is pretty retarded. Before I forget, version differences. Apparently this game was actually fairly different through the different versions released across the planet. In the Japanese version, my boy Eric, he didn't look so much like a boy. I've seen the opening cinematic and, man, there are differences, I can tell you that. Oh, the Japanese version was actually just called Vampire Killer, which made a great title screen, I gotta say. Now, the European version also had a title change. It was called Castlevania The New Generation, which actually kind of makes sense considering who it's about, but, the real reason behind that was to remove blood from the title, and that's not the only blood they went and removed. That corpse from the first area, all the bleeding zombies. Despite how violent the game is regardless, they tried their hardest to remove any little bit of blood they could from this version, which is honestly a shame. The more you know. Anyone who's played Super Castlevania probably remembers those little segments where you'd be able to grapple onto things with your whip and swing back and forth. Pretty cool feature. Well, that's actually in this. But when you play as John Morris, if you jump up and do it to any ceiling, you can swing around, which effectively makes you Spider-Man. So, you know, John's got a little bit going for him too. We got another really fun boss design here. Again, diagonal strikes really coming in handy. See, what you gotta do here is you gotta help the golem lose some pounds. Gotta shave off some of the weight. Come on, work with me here. You gotta gaggle the golem. You gotta get it. You know, I really think golems are underrepresented during Halloween. I don't know, that's just my opinion. So you gotta get in there, you gotta get off the, you gotta get the last bit, you gotta shave off the last few pounds, and you gotta stab him in the eye. He tries covering it, but you just gotta keep going at it, right in the eye. There we go. Alright, Castlevania Bloodlines. Obviously the Genesis isn't known for its Castlevania titles, this is the only one. But I really think it's worth checking out if you haven't played it before. Not mind-blowing, not game-changing, but if you're looking for some classic Castlevania, this game's got it. I think far too many Castlevania players will just let this one slide under the radar. I mean, later looks like you got these things, you got the tits out, you can cut their heads off, but it's great. I don't want to spoil too much for you. Check it out. Bloodlines, it's all in the blood.